Hey everyone, Sean here, and today in this video, I think I got the audio set up now, all set. I'm able to use my my Zoom H1, and I actually have a different cable in there that will hopefully suppress the noise, so that way it won't be as bothersome as before. Hey everyone, Sean here, and today I wanted to sit down and talk about my thoughts about Evo for 2022. But that's not the point of the video. I wanted to sit down and talk about the lack of voice acting that we've had for Pokemon games and whether they are needed or not, I guess, at this point. Now, let me remind you to like and subscribe because it really helps out and I do appreciate it, as well as hitting the bell, in case all that works again. You can do that in order to see more videos like this if you do really like seeing me talk about these sort of topics. So again, we're going to be talking about voice acting, whether they're needed or not in Pokemon games. So of course in the past, we've always had just text running along on the bottom of our screen, and we just kind of took it for what it is. It's always been this turn-based, pretty basic RPG that has been a phenomenon for a very long time. So that's why Game Freak / Nintendo has had this sort of, if it's not broken, don't fix it sort of mentality, which is why they don't bother to try to do some things new to some extent, or to a wide extent, and they don't go for voice acting and all these other mechanics that could possibly make it really cool, but maybe be troublesome for the balance, for the sake of it and such. But obviously, voice acting does not affect the game balance of things, but it does affect the game development cycle, and it does raise the question of whether it's worth having or not. A lot of JRPGs nowadays, or just RPGs in general, have a lot of voice dialogue, and you kind of take it for granted when it comes to those things, even during side quests. Games that feature voice acting and then suddenly they just don't, it becomes this very blatant sort of absence of a good all-around experience. You start to sort of take these for granted, how you can take these stories in a little more seriously, or in a better manner, or digest them even better. If you can only do so much reading in one sitting, and there are people who love just hearing things and different voices and just characters just being brought to life by voices. Voice acting is very important, and some of the most very influential things for people to love these characters. And they only have this one shot to be memorable or not at a lot of times. And these characters, especially in Pokemon games, do have that missed opportunity to be that much more memorable for anyone, really, including myself, of course, as someone who loves voice acting in cartoons and anime and so on and so forth. And I cherish a lot of these cartoon characters, a lot of these, anime characters, not because of their appearance, but also their voices, especially for a character like Bugs Bunny and the Daffy Duck. They're very much characterized around their voices. And so again, this is a very big missed opportunity for these characters to be, forever sort of having that impression for everyone pretty much who plays these games. So that's why voice acting is something a lot of people do consider for Pokemon games, because of course, like I said, it hasn't been featured up to this point, at least for the major Pokemon games anyway. A lot of the spin-offs, well, they do have voice acting. The most recent one I can think of is the new Pokemon Snap game that's on the Switch, and that one has voice acting, of course, and it is great. I mean, it really brings more life into the game, makes the world a little more believable, a little more breathable, I guess, in essence. Of course, the Pokemon themselves, it does lend a little more life into the Pokemon themselves. Yes, they do have sound effects, but they always have the sort of that old Game Boy-ish sound to them, because of course the excuse is the nostalgia factor, right? You've always stuck with these things, these assets, and it kind of like kind of tickles around those things, those nostalgia juices, and it attempts to have people wear the rose-tinted goggles and forgive him for that because, oh, nostalgia, right? But at this point, with things starting to become apparent that they are trying to, while yes, as a one step at a time, evolve the game, evolve the franchise, the main games, of course, to something a little more different. Especially with Legends Arceus that has come out with, for the most part, positive reviews or positive reception, but nonetheless successful sales. It's definitely has a different impression than other Pokemon games because it's doing something different all in all, and that's something great. That's something I really love of what Legends Arceus was trying to do. While yes, I do still really like the game for what it is, it does have its faults. It does have its execution problems and that lack of the sort of wow factor, I guess you can say, in the execution apartment. While yes, the concept of things are great, there is a base for it. The ingredients are there, but the actual cooking process, or so to say, the actual overall results bear some subpar fruit. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that Scarlet and Violet are taking this direction. They are trying to evolve. No pun intended, of course. But that's just the direction they're taking. So at this point, does this call for voice acting to be a part of this evolution? And I think overall, voice acting will be really nice in these RPGs. Again, because of the points I've made earlier in this video, which is it really paints a really good, strong impression for for major characters in general, or even side characters as well. It could make them all the more funny, all the more goofy, all the more eccentric. It drives breath. It drives that liveliness into our experience, especially our first time experience, which is very important. Which is why, again, first time impressions are very important in anything really, and this is no exception. That's why we hold dear to those cartoon characters and those anime characters from the past, because not only because their appearance, their actions, their roles in the story, but of course the voices that they brought to the table, thanks to, of course, the actors and actresses that contributed their hard work and their skills into these projects and overall products, and really help make it all that much of a more wholesome experience in a literal sense. So yes, voice acting will be very nice. Now, is it needed? I guess that's the question that's being really asked here. Well, I mean, if you're really going to show that you are evolving, I mean, I would say it'd be great to have at least that much. A lot of JRPGs and both just video games in general, like I said, have voice acting nowadays. A lot of the dialogue is voiced. Even the side quests are voiced. There's a Yakuza game that had all dialogue voiced, pretty much, or most of it voiced. Even the side quests were voiced, and that was really nice. That was one of the things I really did like about Yakuza 6. And ever since, I don't think any other Yakuza game has taken up to that sort of standard. Most of the side quests aren't really voiced. They just have like bits and pieces of the voices, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it's still engaging as a story, so to say, but it'd be a lot more engaging if it is voiced, because not everyone likes to read. Not everyone can learn a lot from reading. And I myself have problems with reading comprehension at times. So, there are times where I read something, especially with this big body of text from a log I pick up from a video game or within a video game world. I read it, and I'm just like, what the hell did I just read? But when it comes to a voice, reading it back at me, that's how I am able to digest it even more in a easier manner, or just a better manner in general. So that's why, you know, having the voice acting in these games is, well, all the more helpful experience to, well, understand the story or take these characters a little more seriously, or however you want to take them, and, you know, have a fun time with it, right? That's all that's important about these video games, you know, just to have a fun time. And I think voice acting will be just another brick into that foundation, or another pillar in that the whole foundation, excuse me, you know, for a more better experience. Redundant, I know, but that's how it kind of is. So, you know, voice acting, yes, again, would be really nice. It could be optional, right? But technically, because I mean, if the voices annoy you, you just lower the voice volume in the options. Now, if it's not there, I guess that's a whole nother issue, but that shouldn't be a lacking feature. It should be there. So, I mean, it only will add the experience to games like Pokemon, for example, with voice acting. So, it'd be nice. I'm all for it. If it's not there, though, I'm not gonna, you know, tear my hair out or anything like that, and go on Twitter and rage about it. But I'm not so opposed to having voice dialogue in Pokemon games, especially here and now. You know, this is starting to be something different. It's starting to feel like it's starting to evolve because of this open worldness and stuff like that. Some of the things they are doing as well, some of these sort of nuances as well. It's starting to be a little different, you know, in those places too. So it would be nice to have voice dialogue to go along with that. So, all right. So before I kind of go into a loop, thank you guys so much. That's my sort of take on voice acting or voice dialogue in Pokemon games, whether they're needed or not. I think it would be really nice to go along with the evolution, quote unquote, or the start of the evolution that we're seeing now this year, starting with Legends Arceus, and now that sort of is continuing with Scarlet and Violet. So that's all I got. So if you have any comments about voice acting in Pokemon games, how you feel about them, do you feel like they're really needed or not, anything like that, leave it down in the comment section below. I love to read them. I love to see other takes when it comes to these sort of related topics. So thank you very much, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit the bell. All that stuff is really helpful, and I do appreciate it. So this has been the Hawke Talks on voice acting, voice dialogue in Pokemon games, whether needed or not. So thank you very much. I'll see y'all in the next video. Sean out.